and I am sort of gently stirring and mixing up the top coat. This is step 3, the final step, except for I'm going to put, at least 2, if not 3 coats of this on here. But the surface is now as smooth as I want it. It's been sanded, and then I used a little chip brush and a vacuum to get all the extra fine sand particles off of here. Then I used a damp rag to make sure I got all the fine particles off of there. Then I went over it with my hand to feel and make sure that I didn't leave any rag particles on there. And I'm stirring, and that's a little tip for top coat anytime, is you don't ever want to shake that up. You always want to just sort of gently stir it to make sure it's mixed, because if you shake it, you're going to end up with bubbles in there, and bubbles end up feeling rough. Back with a clean roller, but still, a clean roller pad thing at the end, but I'm still using my same roller apparatus there, and my same brush, which has been cleaned out. And we're going to do the same exact thing that we did with all of the other layers. I'm going to go into the corners and the areas that are hard to get to with the brush. Make sure you can see the difference in the sort of the depth of color coming out just with putting this top coat on. So excited. I mean, this is going to be finished today. We just started this yesterday. So I'll let this part, the stone part, dry for 24 hours before I sanded and started, putting this part on. So I'm making sure to get to the edges. One other tip, and because I don't know if I'll remember whether I'll be too excited or whether I'll remember, whenever I get to the part to removing this tape that I've had on here this whole time, I'm going to use a utility knife or an X-Acto, whatever you want to call it, and score that right up next to these edges and cut that, because I don't want to chance any little bitty tiny piece of tape staying on there or any piece of this pulling off with the tape. So that's the next place that I'm going to kind of be careful at, is whenever I'm removing that tape. I'm definitely going to score that first before I pull the tape off, and then we will use a bathroom, not caulk, is it caulk? Like a silicone on there to seal around these edges. Usually you get those in all kinds of different colors that would be similar or matching this, or you can just get clear, which is what we do, or what we're going to do here. So one other thing whenever you're applying a top coat to remember is you can go back over it a little bit in the very beginning to, try to get out your roller marks and smooth it out and things like that. But once it starts to get tacky at all and dry at all, you don't want to go over it again then, because you're just going to then make a rough surface and pull some of it up and have just a purity old mess is what you'll have. So I'm making sure to just look at my wet line and work over it here and get the whole surface. Get this right here too. Make sure I'm over this seam real good right here, and then I'm just gonna come through on these edges. I'm going back over it a couple of times to make sure it gets in there, but that's while it's still wet. And then I'm going to pull just one more time this just looks like wet concrete right now. Looks like a concrete countertop that has water spilled on it. So it's definitely always better. You don't want to let it pool or puddle up anywhere. I'm looking to make sure that's not happening. And it's not taking much. Heck, I've still got, I didn't pour much in there and there's still a good bit on there. So the kit comes with plenty. Okay, let me get right here real good, back and forth over it. It's been a couple of minutes since I went behind that sink, so I don't want to do any more back there now. I'm not wanting to take this brush off and lay it anywhere because there still may be dust on that paper and stuff over the sink right there. I should have done this a long time ago. I had a little puddle there, pulling that back. Get this seam real good. This seam real good. Okay, now I'm gonna roll to make sure it's flat. I'm rolling over that same wet edge just a tad. And if you lift up just a tad, I mean, see how this is straight? If you lift it up just a tad whenever you're going back over it, that sort of pushes any excess that's on there your direction, so that you're not just being all willy-nilly with it. I'm pulling by doing that, I'm pushing just a tad harder at the beginning than the end. I'm pulling any extra that's on there my way, and then I'll lift it off at the very end. And I'm way less likely to have a run or anything like that at that point. So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to give this about 4 hours this time, because I really want this to kind of get hard and set up and cure a little bit. And then I'll put the second coat on, and then I'll decide whether, I guess when that dries overnight, I'll decide whether I'm done and to cut this tape off and be done, or whether to go ahead and put on one more coat. And that was easy. I mean, I hope that, and I'll put some before and after pictures. I just can't believe the difference. My husband and I were discussing last night the difference this has made in this bathroom. These walls and everything look more creamy and peach now than the bright yellow. When I still had the periwinkle countertop here yesterday, this room was so yellow, and I kept telling him when I bought this paint, it wasn't that yellow. This is crazy. But just the reflections off of this and the difference in how the room looks just from having this countertop has really warmed everything up in here. And it's surprising how something so small can make that much difference. But thanks for joining me through this project. If you have any questions, ask them. And these videos will be here. I'll probably put them all together and make a tutorial piece that you could watch from beginning to end and put it on YouTube or something. But anyways, this has been, what's it called? Spreadstone. And it has been easy. So thanks for joining me. Bye.